Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guests.
Hi.
Hello there. I'm Tasty.
And I'm Cameron, and we are
Night
Heron.
Hello.
Hello there.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, let's go back down the line real quick. Why don't I have each all just kind of introduce yourselves individually and say what you do in the band?
Well, like I said, my name's Tasty.
Mhm.
I play the drums in Night Heron
Mhm.
and with this beautiful man, Cameron.
Oh, me? He also sings beautifully on a couple of tunes.
I always appreciate when drummers will pull vocals as well.
So as of recently, we're kind of reassessing, or not reassessing, but just re-envisioning some new tunes, and I happen to be on some of those. So, you know, it's fun. It's fun to be out there singing, and not normally my thing, but
Now, do you go like mic on a stand, or are you doing headset mic?
I'm full out there, and like I get off the kit because
Okay, so you don't drum and sing simultaneously.
I believe in performing. So
Engaging the audience. Yeah.
that's what I really want to bring to this next rendition of Night Heron, because the last couple records have been amazing and awesome, and I think we're at a point where maybe we just want to see where we can take it with, because we have a lot of members in the group that are all super talented, and so why
limit it?
Why make everyone stick in one situation? Why? I don't know. So I'm gonna sing.
I'm
gonna sing.
He's gonna sing.
That's exciting. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then just don't want to run too long in this beginning portion here. How about you introduce yourself?
I'm Cameron. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do in the band?
I play guitar and sing and kind of produce the whole thing.
The
Write some
leader,
of the songs.
the leader of the band.
Yeah, but I don't want to consider myself the leader of the band because I feel like we have a really strong core group of members, and
A group can have a leader and still have everybody be equally as capable.
yeah, totally.
It's just sometimes there's got to be one person to be like yes or no to those situations that are either dull or annoying.
Yeah.
So,
And I think
gotta be there for it.
And also, I think for the first record, we were sort of perceived as like, this is Cameron's band.
Oh God.
Now I feel like Tasty and Grace, in particular, have been sort of more brought into the fold of songwriters or like members who are contributing creatively, and that's why I hesitate when I say that I'm the leader of the band, because
maybe leader isn't the proper word, but the first word that comes to mind. Because ultimately, it was, it came out of
he's the origin source.
the origin.
Yes.
Is Cam.
Yes.
And we're all lucky enough. Long coming. Yes, I would say, just being a leader in himself, allowing trust in the musicians that he brought in together to elevate and create this thing. And so I think in that sense, being a leader is more of like a facilitator.
Yeah.
And it's created a really good
Actually, I think facilitator is a great word.
I think that's maybe the better word.
That is a very appropriate description of it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And then I know that you two are not the full band, as aforementioned. Who are the other primary members?
I was going to say, so Grace, who couldn't be here tonight, is our longtime bass player and singer.
Ah, dang.
She sings lead on a lot of the stuff on the new record and is just like an unbelievable musician and person. Molly Everett, who plays keys and also plays in another band in Portland called the Apricots, who are crushing it. Played Treefort. She plays keys and sings. We have Jordan Vale, who has his own project, Mr. Vale's Math Class, that's been playing a bunch around town.
I think I shot them a message a little while back.
Yeah, they should get back to you.
Please do.
What's up, Jordan?
Although don't they have like 7 or 8 members?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so do we.
Fair.
And then Andy, who is Andy Rayborn, plays sax, he plays flute, plays clarinet, plays bass clarinet on the record. He is obviously very talented and has his own project called Paper Gates. And then there's Nicole McCabe, who is living in LA, and she played a bunch on the record. She's going to come up for the album release party.
Oh, exciting.
We also have Eric Mendoza, who plays sax occasionally. We have Ian Hartley,
yes.
who is the backbone with Tasty T of the rhythm section because he plays percussion.
Also, shout out to Sexy Water Spiders, a legendary Portland band that is kind of the sleeper and kind of, in my heart, one of the reasons I got back into music. But yes, Ian and I feel like lock in really well, and I feel like a huge part of this group is the groove, and he's a big part of that. And of course, Grace as well, like one of the most amazing bass players I've ever played with. And so, yes, this group has the groove.
Speaking of as a facilitator, I feel very lucky to be able to play with Tasty, to be able to play with Ian, to be able to play with Grace, and then all 3 of them together. Like, that's a dream come true for somebody who's trying to put together a band.
Yeah.
Because I saw them all out there in various projects, and I was like...
I was going to say, this feels like this is a bit of a, like, super group in a way.
What's up with Grace? What's up with Tasty? What's up with Ian? Like, let's get something together. And it just, like, has continued to coalesce, especially rhythmically, which is such a foundation for this band. It's like, how do we capture the groove and lay back on it a little bit? Because I feel like so many people are always pushing the groove. But how do we lay back a little bit,
Well, y'all definitely do a great job with that. And we're going to talk more about the music itself a little more in the middle of this. But before we do, I have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. And this first one is one we ask early. It's one we ask often. And it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you each bought with your own money?
Bob Marley, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine was definitely Spice World.
Okay.
And also one of the first shows I ever saw.
Well, dang it. That was going to be my next question. One of the first live shows you ever went to that was with your own money.
Well,
does that still count?
I was like, I don't know. My dad brought me, so I think I was maybe like 6 or something. I can't remember.
Okay, so we're going to leave that there because that is still rad. Both of those things are super rad.
But I really wanted to go.
Fair. But later on, what was one of the first live shows you each went to that, like I said, was like specifically one where like you saw what was happening, you bought the ticket, you went to it?
Ooh, that's tough. Do you have one?
I don't remember the first ticket I bought. I feel like it would have been like Funkadelic or something at the Crystal Ballroom, or or like the Wailers,
of course,
which was fucking sick. Or something at the Crystal, like with my own money. It would have been in high school, probably like Parliament. Maybe not even Funkadelic, but Parliament.
And you really do live the good funk life there.
That's, that trumps mine. I think with my own money, I think this was back when I was, more of a hippie. I think it might have been at the Gorge. I saw it wasn't Dead and Company yet, but it was
Dave Matthews Band.
It was some rendition of the Dead and the Allman Brothers and the Doobie Brothers.
Oh shit!
Oh,
And tragically,
all 3 of those?
yeah.
Oof.
But tragically, I ate a giant like weed treat and I fell asleep for like most of the show.
no.
I was gonna say at that Parliament show, I got way too stoned and was like sitting in the corner, like, "Please help me," for like a good hour of the set. But their sets are like 2 hours, so. But they were just like whittle, 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 whittle.
But also, just growing up, my parents, they're both musicians, and they brought me to a lot of amazing shows. I saw Airto at the zoo.
Oh, dang.
I went to like kirtans. I saw, Babaji Bob Kindler, like playing tablas, and so I've seen. I don't know. It's hard to even imagine my first show that I was like, this is what I want to go to, because it was probably more or less like a rave in the woods or something like that.
Well, I mean, those are all super solid early on experiences, regardless of how they came to be. And then how did the band kind of start initially?
I think we met because I was recording Moon by You, right?
Yes.
I was like, this drummer rips.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we just became friends after that. And I think I started Night Heron like a year after we recorded, or a couple years after we recorded. And I wanted Tasty to play in it. But my other roommate, Anthony Brisson, shout out, kind of started as the drummer. And then you kind of got on board at some point. I don't know. It was always kind of a rotating cast of like, I had this old band, Radiation City. It was like a very collaborative project. We toured a bunch, and then that band broke up, and I was like, what do I do? And so I needed an outlet for writing songs, started this band, and handpicked kind of my favorite musicians. Shout out Nick Vicario. Shout out Natalia Rogovin from Social Studies. Shout out freaking Bud Wilson from On. Bijou, yeah, exactly. Leah Gist from Seance Crasher. Just a bunch of homies.
Basically, all of Portland has probably had, dipped their finger in Night Heron at some point.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I heard about y'all a while ago now. I used to work at the Guitar Center in Clackamas.
Oh, okay.
I was the second in command and then the store manager for a little while there. And one of my old coworkers, who I'm blanking on the name on now, but he told me about y'all. And so I went and saw you at Ron Tom's.
Okay.
A while back now. It was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, but that was so I had seen you guys a long time before this. So it was actually this was kind of on my list for a little while to get y'all on here.
Yeah, I feel like that may have even been like an early iteration of the band.
Very much so.
Maybe Dom was in the band at that point. Remember Dom?
I think that might have been one of the only shows where Dom played.
Yeah.
Was I even in the group? No, maybe.
You may have even missed you played that one, maybe?
I was also dabbling in some other groups at the time, so kind of like,
Gotcha.
I was kind of always like, I've always been like, personally,
his heart and soul.
My heart resides
before he was in the band.
Yes.
And
so if I ever couldn't, it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was because I was,
No, I got you.
Adrift.
I got you.
In the starving artist world of touring and blah blah blah.
Stonemasonry.
And stonemasonry. And that's why I'm in my my work regalia right now.
I mean, it's definitely modern trendy, so you could have fooled me. You've just been like, this is my look. And
I mean, it is kind of like derelict Balenciaga sort of.
Yeah, you could have told me it was designer. I would have believed you.
You're in a metal band.
It's funny. Yeah, I've actually been called out several times wearing work clothes in the wild, and someone's like, "Where'd you get those pants?" I'm like, "Geez, like
Carhartt.
I wish they were expensive. Like, you want to buy them?"
It's one of one.
Yes,
I'd take 100.
All right. But let's go ahead, guys. Let's move on into more of the present day. Now that we've gotten to know you a little bit, we are, however, going to get a super easy one out of the way first. How'd you pick the name?
So I used to watch birds as a kid.
Oh.
When I started a new project outside of Radiation City, I was like, this feels like an authentic component of my life. What is something that's going to tell the story of like this kind of music that I want to make that's a little bit more like nighttimey? And then Night Heron came to me. I was like, oh, perfect.
Hell yeah. So, well, it's definitely...
It's an actual bird.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And a lot of people say Night Heron. And that's not how you...
No, it's heron.
It's heron. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you know a little bit about birds, it helps, but I don't know much, so I knew it was heron.
But I think a lot of people associate the name with like Lord Huron.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Also, I feel like some people just read things very phonetically.
Right.
There's like, if it's an O, it's got to be an O.
Or a gon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
For instance. Yeah.
But it is I always do this bit where I break down names. It is really cool. It's very straightforward, very easy to remember. It's got like good letter ratio, so it looks good in all kinds of fonts.
Exactly.
It's for it, but when you hear it at first, it is thought provoking because you're like, Night Heron. Is that like a bird of the night? Is that just like, is there a dark twist on a regular bird? Like there's things that you can kind of like play with in your mind without having to like be like, oh God, how do you spell this obscure word that has 18 vowels?
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool name. I dig it.
Thank you.
But now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process a little bit. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start more at the beginning. So when it's time to start a new track, how do y'all go about getting it going?
I mean, I've done most of the writing at this point.
Okay.
Tasty and I actually on this new record co-wrote a song, and it just kind of came out of like we were hanging out and playing pinball. And I was like, I think I have an idea for a bass line. Should we go to the studio right now?
Yeah, he brought out his phone. He was like, doo doo.
And then we got in the studio, and then he had like an idea for the melody.
And it was really one of those kind of truly off the cuff things that afterwards, I think I was shocked that it was like, because
actually on the record.
Yeah, on the record. And also,
it's just that a cappella recording too.
You can record a million songs that are just whatever. But this one was like, I think there's something to it.
Yeah, it just like felt special right away.
Gotcha.
And it felt like a really, like the first time we actually did like sort of a co-writing situation. Because before, yes, it's all been Cam, like truly a master.
Oh, stop it, doubting.
And happy to, make those songs what they are today. But yes, this was the first time that happened. But truly, it's been Cam.
God,
yeah, these guys have been very generous with their talents.
Yeah,
because this has sort of been an outlet for me post Radiation City for like my songwriting but also like they helped shape the process of like what the sound became, which is very like smoky, neon, whatever. Like, I don't think I would have come to that sound without these guys, but with the second record was a little bit more collaborative in the sense that I had these songs and I brought them in and we kind of worked them out in the studio. On the third record, which isn't a thing yet, I definitely want it to be more like we're writing stuff. We were just talking about this on the way here. Definitely want it to be more like we sit down with like no preconception and create songs. And we've already started doing that on a couple things. And like
even tonight we came.
Yeah.
we found a piano earlier and a little progression happened. Who knows if it'll make it, but
hey, well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it either way.
I say, to the public out there, I think there's no bad ideas, like the way that we write songs is like, I'll hear something and I'll be like, it's like one bar of something. It's like, dun, 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 and that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Just put it in my phone.
Well, also when you have, essentially, 5 to 8 people who can play it once it's in its, it's in its origin state, I feel like at a certain point when you have a solidified team, it's better to show up with less to let them do more even.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
On this record, in fact, on the first record, I had these kind of synth bass line ideas as demo ideas, sent them to Grace, and I was like, do your thing on this. And she basically recreated those, with a few details or whatever. But on this one, I was like, I'm going to leave the synth bass out specifically so that Grace can like show off her talent.
Yeah.
Which she did. And like some of the bass lines on this record are like one takes all the way through and just brilliant, completely unedited. Like if you get this record, listen to that bass line on those songs, because I think it's just brilliant stuff. And I think that's kind of part of it. It's like, for me, the groove is such an important part of the songwriting process. So the bass line is really important. The drums are really important. So I often will think of that stuff first, but still allowing Tasty or Grace to do things like that I wouldn't think of. Yeah. I think is part of that collaboration that's so important to this band. And that's
also for me, it's really inspiring to be able to do that on his work, because I always come in and I hear, like, it's usually like whenever he's like, come record, I'm like, I usually haven't heard the song, and then I hear it and I'm like, let's go. All right, I have something going, and so
there's kind of a template there, but it's like a simple version.
Yeah, you're doing just like the kick snares, a metronome almost.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, I have kind of a specific idea of the groove. It's like do 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 do. Yeah, some of that syncopation stuff. But like, often, honestly, when I work with drummers, like they don't hear that stuff in the same way. But Tasty will do that and do a better job even. That's why it's my guy.
That's a very, very helpful thing to have in a music writing role. In an old band I was in, Smooth Talk.
Oh, all right.
Way up there. The guitar player. This guy, like third generation guitarist, been teaching music for a while, graduated multiple times in school for music. And I could literally be like, hey, Corey, can you play ba-dum bum ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-bum? And he would sit there and go blump. Blump.
Just does it,
and it's just better. He took what I thought of verbatim and then modified it to make it even better. And just no problems whatsoever. Just like if it was in my head, he could put it in the real world. So that is a very cool thing to have in any realm of making music.
Totally,
but especially in a drummer. As a bass player, I have a very, very positive affinity for drums in general.
Also, that said, there's a lot of what I love to do is facilitate what is already there, and like, and then, because I usually am always just like, I love that, let's do that, and then maybe just have one or two notes here and there, or like a little and or an offbeat that like kind of swings it different or something, and because I think it's very important to, like, if someone is bringing their intentional creative endeavor, I'm not necessarily inclined to overshadow it. But like, if I feel like there needs to be a little thing here and there, I'll see if that works.
Yeah, you're right.
But I do love to facilitate like what's there.
No, definitely. And when it comes to like just like the primary portion of writing, do you have like a specific sound you usually aim for? Or are you like, oh, this is a Night Heron song, this isn't? Or is it just kind of whatever comes to you, you're always writing for the band?
I mean, I feel like there is sort of a aesthetic guideline to the band. Yeah. We were just talking about this also on the way here. There's like a flavor that, as we're writing a song, it either is or it isn't, and you can kind of like understand that flavor by taking the test of like, would you night drive to this? Would you like lay back to this? Does it feel like smooth enough? And
is it velvet couch enough?
Is it velvet couch?
That was a good way to put it. Yeah,
exactly. And so it's hard because I feel like when people are writing, often they're like, they get sort of myopic about things, and this is a myopia in and of itself, but intentionally so. Like, does it fall under this kind of like aesthetic umbrella?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of move on from there. Like, does it feel like this? Does it feel smooth? Does it feel like this feeling? Is the melody kind of falling under this category? If it feels too aggressive, or it feels like too sad even, because it's all kind of sad music, but it's like sexy sad.
It's moody.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I dig that. And then just with how many people you have, do you ever run into creative differences?
Not really, because I feel like even like most of the time the songs are worked out and recorded in the studio and then we work on them.
Mm-hmm.
But Tasty T is a really good like art director for rehearsals. He'll be like, what if we try this thing? And it's nice for me to just be like, I don't even have to interject.
Gotcha.
Like, I feel like he's calling good shots right now.
Yeah.
And we can all kind of listen to him. And so there's like a good sort of, I don't know. Dynamic. Yeah, I was going to say dialectic, but like that's not maybe the word. But yeah, there's a good dynamic between different people kind of taking the forefront when it's right for the project and making it work.
Yeah, because there's already like Night Heron is this. It's already like this its own little world.
Yeah.
And then I think, what I'm always trying to do, like I said, is just facilitate that. And if I can give just, if I can hear something that can add that,
Right.
that's what, that's what I'll bring. And
well, especially because you kind of like, if I'm writing the song and working it out and you come from the outside perspective to some degree, like you can see it more objectively from the performance standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that just helps everybody. And I don't feel like an ego about the songwriting. It's just that like, it's what I've wanted to do with this. And so like, that's why I'm like, I want to bring other people in.
Yeah.
So we all kind of share that feeling.
which is also kind of how the live aspect kind of creates a new world too. Cause, which I love, we're not like super particular about it sounding exactly like the record. So like, depending on what instruments we have for the show, who can cover what part, I think we're more inclined to just make
like a facsimile of the thing,
a good rendition, and just make
the most entertaining version of that song.
I feel like live shouldn't sound like a cut and paste of the record.
Totally.
It should sound worse. Like there's still a bar there. But I always appreciate when you go to see somebody live and they like jazz it up a little bit. They like move things in a different way that are like you can almost tell it's just for this show or like the small
more special.
Yeah.
And for that matter, I feel like I've never actually seen a band play a full set that's like exactly like the record. I'm sure it exists, but it's like, why would I go see that show?
Especially if you have
the record.
Yeah. No, I dig that. And before you guys go on stage, before you have a show, do you have any like pre-show rituals as a band?
Ooh.
That you're allowed to see on camera? No.
Probably not.
I think we really do. We kind of all like disperse for a little bit and then we come back together backstage or whatever. And we're like, all right.
We all get scared and just run away. and then come to that moment of like, it is now. I think that's kind of the cool aspect about the group is like not being so precious about like, of course we want the best show.
Yeah.
But we're not like, we're not sitting there like, okay, we got to do this and we got to like make sure everything is perfect. And like, of course we have a set list. We have like, we've talked about what we're doing, but I think we just kind of trust each other to just get on stage when it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like,
Well, I think the best shows are the ones where the group is having the most fun.
Totally.
Like if you can see everybody smiling, everybody having a good time, everybody doing those looks at each other, like when they know something's going to happen, like those are the things that, like, you know, yes, if you can technically play well, like if you're up there nailing every note and you're sitting just like that, that's fine. But that not a good performance makes, you know what I mean? Like if you're staring down at your instrument and not just having fun and feeding into it, you're missing something.
And it took me a really long time to realize, like, the mistakes that I make on stage, nobody notices, nobody cares about. What they do care about is if I react to mistakes, like, you know, or make a face or whatever. And so, like, I've learned to have this kind of goldfish memory about mistakes. And, like, honestly, I don't even remember shit that I fuck up anymore.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter and nobody notices. But if, like, I react to it, people do notice that. So it's like, perform and just have fun. Don't worry about mistakes. They're gonna happen. Every fucking show, they're gonna happen.
It's impossible not to.
Yeah.
That unless you're like playing with entirely backing tracks that you're just hitting play on.
Right.
Even then, you're still gonna figure out a way to mess it up at some point.
Also, you can react in a negative way, which is they can, you know, people respond to that, or you can react in a playful way and they respond in a completely opposite way, and it becomes more like
a shared experience or whatever.
A little like,
but I still even don't love that, if I'm being honest.
Of course, we don't. Like, we want to play good.
Just not acknowledging it is like when it comes to like a little.
I feel you. Sometimes it's like so egregious that like everybody has to acknowledge it, and that's kind of fun.
But that never happens.
Yeah, that never happens. Really no,
everything 100% all the time.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your guys' music.
Okay.
So I jumped on Yield Spotify, and you got music going all the way back to 2019, and I got to tell you, it's a vibe. It is very much, and I mean, this is my realm of musical preference. So it's like one that like I did not have to try hard to like really get myself into. But, I mean, I just after listening to it and having listened to it prior to this, I just love how your sound is very textured. It's very synthy. It's very funky, and it's very full. It's very rich. It's got all of these layers, but there's this emotional element, kind of like what you were saying, how it's sad but sexy.
Right.
It has something in it that just like you feel it. You feel it in your feet. You feel it in your heart. You feel it in your head. And what's crazy to me is that even though I do listen to it a lot, like this style of music, I couldn't pinpoint a specific sound to correlate it to. When I was listening to it, I wasn't like, oh, this reminds me of this, or this reminds me of that. I just kept being like, this is this. And that's something that's like really special to me. And I will say there was one song though, Vanity, that reminds me of Donnie Bennett.
Oh yeah.
Bennett.
Sick.
One of my favorite artists.
That's our guy. Yeah.
That one.
I mean, he's not our guy, but you know, we love his stuff.
Yeah. Donnie, if you're watching.
Donnie, play with us.
Yeah, come do a show here. We'll make it happen. And I was checking out your most recent track, Juicebox, featuring is it Nicole McCabe? Mentioned earlier.
Tasty actually sings lead vocals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was that song that like just kind of came out of nowhere. And
gotcha. Well, everybody pause this. Go listen to it. Come back. All right. Now that I assume you paused this and came back, it's a rad track. It's so smooth. It's super open. It's super airy. And it like starts off in this realm that feels almost like a dream. It's like the track had a cool little secret that it like it was going to tell you, but it was going to make you listen for a little bit.
Part of that aesthetic that I'm talking about, that's like a guideline for our tracks in general, is like, does it feel like a dream? Does it feel like a secret? You know,
very much so.
That's part of the guideline.
Yeah, well, you nailed it on that one for sure. And then as the song progresses, the way that it just kind of builds, but it doesn't build like outward, if that makes sense. It builds like within itself. And then the horns come in. Oh,
Nicole.
I was already in love with the track as I was listening to it. And then that happened. And I was like, well, this is it. This is it right here. So that was something that like really caught my attention, just because, you know, I mean, who doesn't like a good horn piece? You know what I mean? But I just love how it just in that moment, the song opens up in a really interesting way. It becomes very like playful almost before kind of circling back to like the closing words and such. But I have gone very long in this portion. I apologize.
It's fine. I'd love to hear it.
But I am curious to know now, out of all the songs you have available, what are some of your favorite ones to play? Or live. Sorry, play live.
I mean, that one I love to play live because Tasty can come out front and sing a little bit. We always get a little hooting and hollering when Tasty comes out front.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, I do love singing on that one because it is kind of like, I'm normally a drummer, of course, but I think Sun in My Eyes kind of like has something, it does something for me that I really love, and not just because it's a new song. I think it brings me into this like kind of like retro future, like Sesame Street thing. I don't know why that. I don't know why.
Like PBS, like sci-fi documentary kind of feel or something.
Yeah, in whatever, in the best
70s,
way.
Yeah. 70s, 80s. Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's exactly that was it for me. Yeah.
Which is that was the first single on the new record, and that was one of the songs on the album that has like a double intro and is like almost 5 minutes long. And I was like, not thinking it was going to be a single, but I would send it to a bunch of people, and they were all like, "This is a single on the record." So that was the first single we put out.
Oh yeah.
And I guess it's cool or whatever.
I mean, hey, your guys' music is good. Like, you know, I'll put it right here just without painting it backwards. Like, you have a great sound. It is very put together. It is very full, and it is very its own sound. It doesn't feel like you guys are trying to break the mold and like force death metal into funk,
Right.
but like it feels very itself.
Totally.
And I think it just in any realm of music today, but for this in general, like that is something that makes music really special.
Totally. And, you know, to speak to what you were originally asking, which was, where does this come from? Like, what are the influences? Because I think as much as people want to say, oh, I'm making original music, like
every music is influenced by music.
Yeah, we're a part of humanity. Like, music is a tradition that we pass down to each other. It's a storytelling. It's like a language. And I think that's beautiful. I don't think we have to like eschew music that's come before us or think that it's bad if we're repeating things.
No.
But like if you try to make something your own, you're going to inevitably do something that is your own. And that's cool, even if you try to copy something. So that being said, I feel like the first time I really got into Sade, I was like, this is the vibe.
Smooth Operator is one of my like top 5 favorite songs of all songs.
Exactly. I mean, there are so many good ones, but that just the aesthetic, which is so singular also, you know, you're talking about like, we don't sound like anything. Like, I feel like in some way, like hearing that aesthetic and understanding how kind of smoky and like sultry and the melodic sensibilities, like it was all part of creating this particular sound, but also Air, the band Air, and Daft Punk, Something About Us, like the slower Daft Punk stuff. All of that stuff influenced, and French music in general. And I think all those things kind of tie together in this way that's like, you know, you're missing the downbeat a little bit and you're syncopating things occasionally when most people would just be like, do, do, ka. You're like, do, do.
No, like I said, it definitely lives in the realm very well, but it just doesn't feel like anything else.
Great.
Yeah.
That's the best compliment that anyone could get. You know, it doesn't sound contrived, and so uniqueness is like what I think what any artist strives for.
I also just want to shout out those artists in particular, saying that like we wouldn't be here without them, or we wouldn't.
Definitely. Not to say the music wasn't influenced by things. It just doesn't immediately make me run to something else.
It's great. Yeah, cool.
And then just for each of you individually, do you have like a fun band moment that you'd like to share?
A fun band moment. I don't know. I mean,
I feel like if I would have thought about this for 10 minutes, I could think of something. Because there's definitely something out there.
it's hard to say. I feel like recently,
Like on the last tour, I don't know, going to Tijuana was pretty fun.
yeah,
On the
Tijuana.
last one. We've been there a couple times. That was cool. We had some manta ray stew
Interesting.
the morning after, waking up hungover.
Help with the hangover.
Loudest nightclub I've ever been to.
Right. Yeah, you stayed out later.
Yeah, that was incredible. But also I feel like kind of recently, just this new rendition of the group. Some of the last show we played in Seattle was, I think, one of the more like fun shows that I've played in a long time. It's hard. It's really hard to like place that.
Yeah, getting to play with like Pearl and Thomas and the Lil Lebowski, these rappers in Seattle, which is like we wouldn't normally play a hip hop show, but like that all kind of came together at the last minute and they were great.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, it went off
I feel like
unexpectedly.
usually the last show is one of my favorites. I don't know.
That's a good one. That's a good way to have it. You know what I mean? Like if each time you do a show, you're like, this is great. Then, yeah.
I think because the essence is to make every show better and better. And so I think we've been doing that. And that's kind of how I felt about the last show we did.
Oh, yeah. I dig that. And then before we move into the next portion, this next question is for each of you individually again. But, we've talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to each of you?
It's a good question. I will say that for a long time, I was performing music, thinking hard about the performance and stressed about the performance, stressed about, am I going to look cool on stage? And the nice thing about Night Heron that has brought me a different kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. A different kind of sensation when it comes to performance is a catharsis and like the healing, especially from rehearsal, where for a long time I was like, oh, we have to rehearse tonight. Like I'm stressed and it's been a long day of work and blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, I get out of rehearsal and I'm like, I feel great. Like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
11:30 at night and I've worked all day and then I just rehearsed. And I'm sure a lot of people share that, but just learning to sort of tap into that cathartic component of it rather than focusing on like the, how do I perform and like appear to these people and just have it go more inward. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I dig that.
I would totally agree in the same sense of like, I've played in a lot of different bands and with Night Heron, it's more about loving to do it rather than trying to make people love it,
Yeah.
And so, yes, like this is.
I think that also translates to the audience. It's like, it's taken me a long time to get to this place of like not trying as hard, but then once you do, then people also get on board.
Yeah.
See that you're not trying as hard.
Just more like, just being honest, giving the honest expression rather than trying to contrive a sound that you think people want to hear. And that comes across way more, and it's way more special for everyone. And I think, it's, the feedback from the audience to the band, it just is, it's just way more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing those answers.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If the band could share a bill with any one act, the only requirement is they have to be a current act. They have to be out there. They have to be doing stuff. Who would you each want it to be?
Ooh. I mean, or
Hey, if you're watching.
Air, of course.
Air would be so sick. I mean, there are more realistically, there are some French pop acts that are like French pop.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff that we do.
Oh, I wonder if
This dude, Malik Judi, is so sick. And I feel like I've messaged him and I think he's responded. But
Also, our friend from LA, Marinero.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible band.
It's a band from Mexico City, Petite Ami. Ramona,
yes.
From Tijuana.
Charlie XCX.
Hey.
I'm going to throw one out there. I'm probably going to butcher the name because I don't speak French real well, but is it L'Imperatrice?
L'Imperatrice.
Yes.
I don't know either.
That would be...
And in fact, our friends in Starfucker are playing with them at Red Rocks.
Actually, the Red Rocks show, they had to move it to a different venue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
I just saw the ad.
Yeah, they just announced that there's supposed to be like a snowstorm.
Oh, no.
And they're like, we just can't prepare for that kind of thing with this.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So they're moving it to a theater on Sunday now. But Starfucker's still opening for them. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. Which, shout out to you guys, Starfucker, if you want to be on the show.
Oh yeah, we'd love to open for Starfucker.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, who is a local group that y'all are aware of that you haven't gotten to play a show with yet, but you would like to?
Greater Kind.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Charlie Brown.
Probably one of the better groups in Portland.
Yeah, there you go. I love that.
Shoot, who else?
We're about to play with Bendre the Giant, who I've been
Okay.
to. They're going to play with us at our album release.
Yes, actually, I do remember seeing that now. Yeah.
At Mississippi Studios.
Oh yeah. Well, that's exciting. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could each add one abstract instrument to the group, and I mean, get out there. You already have covered pretty much every regular instrument that can exist in a group, but think odd, think strange.
Lizard. A slinky lizard.
Probably a contrabass flute.
Okay. I'm not quite sure.
Contrabass flute.
It's a super bass. It's like a giant flute that's like, it's super, you can get super low tones.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the most abstract instruments I've ever had somebody say. Hell yeah.
Other than a lizard?
I was going to say, a lizard, how would you play it?
Well, that's why it's abstract.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. You just have to mic it up and see what it does.
A rattlesnake, I guess, maybe.
There we go.
Or what's the omnichord? That would be sick.
Oh, yeah.
Very gorillas.
Oh, yes. They just recently. I just love them.
Pineapples. Feeling.
Yes. All right. But with that being said, you guys, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. You already kind of mentioned it before, but what can we look forward to between, let's say, now and August?
Yeah, so we have our May 10th album release party at Mississippi Studios in Portland. We also have a little tour up the West Coast, down the West Coast. April 23rd in San Francisco at the Kilowatt. April 24th in San Luis Obispo. April 25th in Venice Beach. And then a couple other dates we're still figuring out. And then we're also playing Welch's, Oregon, up on Highway 26 at Pub 26 on April 11th. And I think that's it.
Damn, that is impressive.
Yeah, we're playing Music Millennium, but we haven't announced it yet. For the release party.
Well, y'all heard it here-ish first. All right, and then for this next one, go ahead and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
We're on Instagram at Night Heron Music and TikTok at Night Heron Music and nightheronmusic@gmail.com and nightheronmusic.com.
And also Spotify.
And Spotify, Night Heron. Look for Grace on the bass with the curly hair, you know.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here? I mean, you've already gone through the list during the episode, so you don't have to have somebody at this point.
Good question. Yeah, I feel like I'm all shouted out.
I think shouted out is
shout it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, then with that being said, I've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is for each of you individually. You can answer in whatever order you'd like. But in all of music, what is an album you each feel is more on the obscure side? It's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Ooh.
I actually am spacing on the composer for this one, but La Planète Sauvage, you know what I'm talking about? Like it's that soundtrack for that like weird French animation with like the blue aliens.
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about.
God dang it. I can't.
It's not Jean-Michel Jarre, right?
I'm not sure.
Oh, but yeah, that one. I could look it up right now, actually.
Okay, well, I love Kashif and also Kenny G.
Oh, yeah. Go off.
The first Kenny G album, G-Force, is one of my favorites.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That is a super solid rec. All right, and then give him one more moment to see if he can.
Yeah, here it is. Fabian Cruz, La Planète Sauvage. I don't know if I'm... There it is. You know. But, sorry. Alain Garage... Yeah, again, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, but Alain Garajou.
But yeah, song Hi, How You Doing? G-Force. Kashif produced. It's spectacular.
Hell yeah. Well, those are both solid recs. Thank you so much. Excuse me. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Tasty.
I'm Cameron.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.